Racing. Time to check out the action of the latest round of the Africa Off-Road Championship Racing Series, the Corsica 200 from Delareyville, brought to you by N1 4x4 Cruiser and Toyota, your four-wheel drive experts. The Delareyville event is going to take us agonizingly close to the end of 2017. A couple of salt pans giving us that idea that we're almost at the coast, and we know that the water is going to be keeping the dust down in the early stages. And Flip and the boys have done a great job of marking it. A little bit more bush and brush for the guys to deal with this time around, so it could keep things a little bit more interesting. The last couple of rounds have been wide open dustpan racing, and this is going to be a little bit more technical, and navigation is going to be key for the Corsica 200. Later on in the show, we'll obviously be picking up on all the action from the buggies and the buckies. And in the early stages, we'll talk about the juniors, as well as the senior motorcycles and quads. A big welcome to RTV Buckies and Trailers, to Can-Am and LoadNet, our sponsors supporting us alongside the N1 4x4 team. In the morning, Flip taking us through exactly what is going to be in store for the day, coming out of the other side of winter and arriving into summer. But still, these events start very, very early in the morning, so the kids are going to be bright and fresh. As always, getting their high fives and their trophies from the previous events before they go on to the mini bike track. The standard player is going to be in the mix once again in the cars and the buggies, as well as the guys chasing down on the near unstoppable João Paulo Ferreira on the motorbike. On the side-by-sides, Devin Reinicker and Jorge Oliveira, they've been the men to beat the whole way through the season, and a much more testing and technical layout of the junior track. They took them out onto the beach for a little bit, and as we predicted, the dust would be staying down as they surfed the waves out in Africa. A little bit of Toto there for you guys. Number 7, Aiden Mostert, always going to be the kid to beat out in the quads, and later on we'll be picking up on his brother Ian as he steps into the buggy. The whole idea of the Africa Off-Road Championship Racing Series, although they're predominantly in the northwest of South Africa, just before the Botswana border, the idea is to give the guys a different taste and a different feel of terrain every single time they go out. The Corsica 200 has been a classic race venue for the last couple of seasons, with some different championships using the terrain, and you can see why as well. With these little dams and salt pans, it definitely is something to keep an eye on and changes the look and feel. Also, because of the rain and the humidity around the area, there's going to be a lot more grass and felt for the kids, the senior bikes and the cars to deal with, not just dust bowl racing. After their standout drive at the previous round, Janko and Zian van Aert were back on point as well, trying to pick up the pace and develop their vehicle to try and get up to the back wheel of Devin Reinicker and Jorge Oliveira. Aiden Mostert still solo flying, and he would also be trying to bag as many laps as he could. Last time around, he actually matched the number of lap times set by Devin Reinicker and Jorge Oliveira. This time around, it was a much more buggy-friendly loop, meaning that Reinicker and Oliveira were able to dominate. Janko and Zian van Sail, a little bit down on horsepower on their vehicle, still trying to find the development on a new car. Whereas this is an out-the-box racing demon. You can hear it's actually running a gearbox as well, so that's how they're able to run much higher top speeds. And come the end of this event, when the flag came out, it was a 33 lap, almost double the amount coming out of Janko and Zian van Aert, and a very respectable 26 out of Aiden Mostert. When the motorbikes went out there as well, a bit of a lumpy, bumpy track, almost a freeway that they rode on at the previous event, and this time around it would be a bit of more learning for more lurkers for the kids to deal with, and that's what we like to see in junior racing, a bit of development. We go on board with Johan Valmolke, the number 12, to see what the track layout is like. little bit of grading, cutting of the grass, but as they like to do, leave a little bit of grass so the kids have to really pay attention in the first couple of laps. They'll have swept the lurkers out the way though to make sure that there's no little rocks lurking in the way. That's why they're called the lurkers. Keep it as safe as possible. Plenty of marshals, mums and dads out there to keep an eye on the kids. A little bit of sand on the straight flat out run next to the water wasn't a problem for the buggies and the quads, but when the bikes went out there, it started to really chew up with the skinny tires, spinning it up, and lap after lap it was just getting chowed like the British beach race that has just occurred. Unfortunately, one of the Kawasaki's going down early, and that is due to the soft powdery sand in the big turnaround. As always, everyone was going to be chasing down on João Paulo Ferreira. He was in untouchable form at the previous rounds and most of the season on the 32 machine. But Lohan Leroux on the 48 and Hanyu de Kock on the 158 have been incredibly strong. The men we're on board with, the number 12 machine, Johan van Mokte, eventually ending up with a number 12 position in a very competitive race this time around, and would eventually bag and tag 22 laps come the end of racing play. João Paulo Ferreira keeping us on our toes, running a 32 on the front and a 23 on the side of his bike, as the KTM guys kick and dust themselves off, trying to get themselves back into the mix. The 48 of Lohan Leroux and Hanyu de Kock, they were in an out-and-out war, tying lap for lap, and it was going to be a sprint to the finish to see who could walk away with the big win. Nice shots coming in from our onboard cameraman, Johan van Mokte, telling us what is happening out there on the track. That was him on the Yamaha Pee-wee, one of the older machines. As Johan Leroux was doing the chase down, Hanyu de Kock had eventually got himself up into a 2 spot. And this was the man running in 3rd place, Ferreira. But he was down to the tune of around about 5 laps come the end of play. The feedback from the kids was this was one of their favorite tracks. After lap number 1, just realizing how to ride the sand, and some trying to figure out how to ride the grass. That was the man that ran 3rd place, and he was running on point in the early laps as well, and this was the crash that forced him down the order come the end of the racing. Incredible how short these tracks are and how quickly you can lose the laps. Hanyu de Kock then cementing his 2nd place finish with Lohan Leroux. Job done at the finish line. 39 laps all in all, and the 158 of Hanyu de Kock matching him. But there was one winner, and it was Leroux. Here's confirmation then, Leroux taking the win ahead of Hanyu de Kock, and after a little stumble at the end of the race, Ferreira did get his 3rd place finish. On the kids' cars, the big story was Reneke and Olivier taking the win, this time by more than double the amount of laps over the Van Aerts. Aiden Mostert gets the win in the kids' quads once again. So that's the kiddies race out the way. Join us after the break where we go to the main circuit for the bikes and quads.
In every episode of Battle of the Supercars, the fastest production cars in the world are pushed to their limits in no-holds-barred battles testing speed and handling. It's the quick and beautiful 458 Italian, the nimble and powerful 599 HGTE, the sporty and versatile California, and the swift F1-inspired 430 Scuderia.
From one impressive 70-year-old to another, except ours comes standard with a full maintenance plan and German engineering from $6,699 per month. Now that's impressive. Volkswagen.
Right now on Full Custom Garage, Master Metalman Ian Roussel brings his wild vision to the world of Volkswagen bugs.
I built a couple radical bugs, and looking around, I'm seeing stock ones, nothing crazy. It makes me want to chop one up and build something really wild.
With his hands on a stock bug and a head full of ideas, it's on.
I have a couple ideas I'm not 100% sure of. It's kind of uncharted territory. I'm just going for it. I'm going to cut the whole car into pieces. You got to be a little reckless if you want to get the best stuff.
And later, when Ian shifts gears into a different project, the pressure's on.
These clients are buying the car sight unseen. I know that I've done my best work. I can only hope that they appreciate it.
Welcome back to our latest round of the Africa Off-Road Championship Racing Series, the Corsica 200 in Delareval, brought to you by N1 4x4 Cruiser and Toyota, your four-wheel drive experts. Now it's time for the big bangers, the motorbikes and the quads, and some key riders turned up to throw their names into the hat. We're going to be watching on the bikes. First man out the gate, Jan Human, stepping onto a 4-stroke this time around, normally on a 300 smoker. So he'd be looking to run the numbers, and in the ladies' quads, Megan Stander will be chasing down on brother Ruan. So the Stander family starting to support this format of racing as well. It was going to be a blustery day, especially for the two-wheel warriors that were getting blown all over the place with the early summer breeze coming out of nowhere. Human would be the man setting the track alight. Peter Karam would be doing the chase down on a smaller capacity Roost KTM, chasing down on the LCP Roofing Man. Karam has really come to life in the 2017 season. Theo Barvisa, not Barwise, my apologies, been getting that wrong the whole way through the season. And the top man on the two-stroker, even after he went down the road at the previous round, shook that off, toughed it out, and lined up to go racing again. The 222 of James Latoy. He'd be going after two smoker honours. What a difference at the Delaray event for the Corsica 200 to see very little dust in the early laps. That was going to make vision and passing easy, as long as you can catch up to the man in front of you. Big man Gav with the elbows high. He'd be doing the chase down, heading to the forest for the first time. William Van Veek on the 72. Another man to watch out for, as he does tend to ride himself into form at the end of lap 1. He's got that great Kenny G riding style, very much like Kenny Gilbert. Stands bolt upright. Renier van der Berg, much more old school, stands on the pegs as soon as he can. Likes to look high and far. Check out what the terrain is going to be like. You can see on lap number 1, virgin terrain. So JJ Brits, you can hear he's got some plenty horsepower on that brand new KTM. It's so fun at the end of the season to see everyone rolling out with box fresh. You just know that's a 2018 coming straight out. Hanro Otto was going to be a man to watch out for. He came with a ton of horsepower, and I love those neon plastics. It's a new thing that's come back into play. It's like going back to 1982. Love the pinks and the bright yellows. Hendrik Rutt coming on out on one of the few off-road spec'd RMZ 450s. Even sporting one of the old school long-distance tanks running on the front of the bike. Jean Rougevet, still one of my favorite looking riders as well. Factoried up to the max, Fox head to toe, bell helmets. Ryan Dungey, eat your heart out. Victor de Toy was going to be doing the chase down as well. He's been a massive supporter of the Africa Off-Road Championship Racing Series, and he was trying to eye up a top 10 overall come the end of the season. The Corsica 200, like we said, agonizingly close to the end of the year. The man to beat on the season for the quads, Francois Bennett on the number 700, barely put a foot wrong in the championship. And with style like that, you can see why. He was going to have his work cut out at the Corsica event though. Ruan Stander, a man able to run in the top 3 at national championship standard. Coming off some great rides from last year and this year. You can see from his frame, lost a lot of weight. He's been putting the time in and getting his fitness way up there. Fonny Bodenhorst as well. He has been in and out of the championship, a little bit inconsistent, but also a rider that's going to run massive pace, and he brings his Can-Am back out to the mix. Megan Stander, arguably one of the fastest lady quad racers out there, and a lady who this year completed the Toyota Desert 1000 Botswana race. That's some bragging rights. Yanni Meyer comes out of the stable, often rides alongside with Gideon Jacobs. Aidan Frith on the junior quads had his problems at the previous event, lost some points in the championship, and he'd be trying to make up ground on the rest and try and get it all back into the box. With brother Aidan Mostert doing the job earlier, Ian Mostert gets his chance to go out and dominate in his buggy with a steering wheel. Not too many entries in from our juniors on the junior bikes. Janus Dreyer dropping the hammer hard on the 113 as he heads on out into the fields. Good thing about a lot of the senior bikes and quads going out before him, it means that the track has been nicely groomed and cut, especially for Luan Dreyer on the smaller capacity machine, the 85 big wheel. And the third of the Dreyers, Edouard Dreyer, would be doing the chase down as well. As you get further down the Dreyer list of shopping lists of all the riders, the wheels get smaller and the capacity of the machine goes down. Nellis Janssen Van Vuren in the junior bikes as well would be a new rider on the tour to watch out for. In and out of the Championship Racing Series, and the juniors getting given the orange bibs so that when the faster riders come through, they know that they're going to be watching out for our juniors and novice racers. Monos Croft would be doing the job on his Honda. You can see one of the newer riders. You always see the head on a swivel as they're looking around for all of the markers out there. Joubert White not hanging around, coming out of the gate hard like he means business. Have to see if that aggressive style is going to hold him together the whole way through the race. Often find with the juniors, you get a little bit out of puff. Maybe that arm pump comes into play. As Frith, our top junior, heads out in the field, we head out to an ad break. We'll catch you guys afterwards for more action.
Don't forget to catch all of the penultimate round action of the historic tour from Red Star Raceway, including action from the sports and GTs, the historic saloon cars, Lotus Challenge, Formula Fords, the Pursuit Series, and the Endurance Championship. A great bit of action from Red Star Raceway, proudly brought to you by Motul and their associate sponsors. Here at Ignition, DSTV, Channel 189.
When it comes to keeping the kids entertained these holidays, even the best superhero can do with a little help. Luckily, with DSTV's great kids channels, there's more than enough to keep the whole family entertained all holiday long.
Yeah, it's super magical!
DSTV. Feel every moment.
Modern cars are full of sensors that constantly analyze their own driving conditions and surroundings. More and more companies are working on automotive vehicles that drive automatically in complex traffic conditions, up to completely self-propelled cars of the future. What today looks like science fiction will soon fundamentally change our mobility.
Back out on track as part of our Africa Off-Road Championship Racing Series, and all the coverage brought to you by N1 4x4 Cruiser and Toyota, your four-wheel drive experts. The Corsica 200 Delareyville. Peter Karam trying to do the chase down. A rider in slick form. Dancing his way around, putting on a big show. One of the features of the Corsica 200 out here in Delareyville. Sweeping around the outside of the dams, the little salt pans. Well, there would be salt pans if there's no water in them. Thankfully there is, and that's keeping the dust down nicely. Jan Human, first man out the gate. Going to be a tough rider to beat, but Karam has passed him and starts to put time into Human. So Human normally on the 300 smoker. Hendrik Rutt, man on the old school Suzuki. But a rider with that classic old school style, stands way up high on the pegs. Dakar style riding, putting your shoulders over the bars, and that's exactly how you ride on the sand. Just let the back end of the bike dance around. Theo Barvisa can see a track like this, not custom made for a two-stroke bike, and he'll be praying that he can get a little bit more horsepower out of his 250 smoker. But in the technical, it'll be hard to beat that rider. Willem van Veek, we've talked about him a lot through the Championship Racing Series. He loves it when it gets to these farm road styles. And like we say, that body English of his works very well for him, sits way forward on the bike. When it gets to the zones where he has to stand up, gets his hips way forward, He's got a nice style of riding for sure. JJ Brits rides like me, just sits right in the middle of the bike, doesn't stand up if he doesn't have to. Jean-Louis Devet, no problems for him as well. You can see the wind is absolutely pumping, and that's only good news in the world of quad and bike racing, as well as cars. You can see it is getting swept away big time. Up to 30 km/h winds on the day. Hanru Atu, no problems for him. As Gav Sturley on the 319 starts to close down on the riders up the road from him. Renier van der Berg on the 66 machine. Starting to catch riders, and Ruan Stander, no big surprise to see one of our riders who started quite a long way down the order because he doesn't have a ranking at the moment as a Johnny-come-lately for the Championship Race Series. He is going to be the man to beat on the quads today. Fanny Bodenhorst, one of the guys that's trying to step up and match his pace. Fanny's got those classic overboot styles. Kind of freestyle motocross pants. And then our quad racers kind of took them over. Baggy pants style, hanging over the boots rather than tucking under. Fanny Bodenhorst through the pits and back out into racing. The big 700, but with all due respect, a very stock standard 700 at that. Trying to do the chase down on a full national spec quad is never going to be an easy ask. So Bennett at the moment running as third wheel. He's had so many wins on the season, he's not going to be happy to give that mantle away. He is staying ahead of Yanni Meyer for now, but the man running one of the best looking quads out there, really love the look of those KTMs, and they're starting to come out of people's garages as well. It wasn't long ago that bikes like that were challenging for national championship wins. Megan Stander, no doubt going to walk away as top lady, but she's not looking for that cheese. She's looking to try and take as many scalps as she can as she climbs her way up inside of a top 5 overall for the quad rankings. Stander in through the pits, splash and dash, and back out to racing. Bob Visa in the technical, like I said, he is going to be a hard rider to catch. You can really throw those little two strokes around. It's like a BMX. But on the high speed sections like this, very difficult to get that horsepower down. Stander, she'll have no problems. She runs a 450 size machine. And Yannis Dreyer Jr. having a little bit of a twitch there. And that's what happens when you shut off on the gas on the sand. I recently had a fortunate experience as well going out there on one of the latest KTM 350s. Shut down on the sand when I knew I shouldn't. And things get a little bit hairy. Monas Croft and Edwin Dreyer in the junior bikes having a jaw out there riding bar to bar. As Hanro Otto on the 247 gets chased down by Gavin Sturley. Sturley with the highest elbows in off-road racing. Rowan Stander getting himself high up and slowly but surely working his way to the front of the pack. It wouldn't be long until he'd be eyeing up a top 5 finish and chase down on the fastest bikes out there. One more time around the pun for Stander. An absolute pleasure to film in this area, and although it is like being beaten up in the wind, we'll take wind over dust any day. Jean-Drew Devet flying those factory colours and getting chased down by the second quad out there in the running. Peter Karam still looking tasty and coming into lappers now. Karam using these events as pure sprint events, coming into the pits one more time. In and out we go. Bennett doing his utmost to use all that 700 cc's of power under his right thumb to try and close up on the quads ahead. Hendrik Rutt, standout ride at the Corsica 200 out here at Delareval. Going to see a new man running in the top 5. A late entry here. Now it's one of our crew vehicles having an absolute jaw. Synchro Power 4x4, thank you very much. JJ Brits on the 55 out on one of the furthest points of the track in the farmlands, coming through the thorns, and you'll see a lot of riders coming to the ends of this race wanting some new kit as well. They got ripped to pieces in the tech zones. This is where they got to really catch their breath as well. Just stand up high on the pegs, put on a show for the cameraman and all their crews out there, and this is where most of the crowds and the supporters were hanging. You can see the riders for about 2.5 Ks from just outside of the pits. So well done to our event organizers for laying out an almost perfect track. A little bit of extra rain beforehand would have been nice though. Sometimes you can't control everything. Jan Vet running the numbers out there. Our second place quad rider still trying to close down on Stander. In and out we go, and the riders were ticking off the laps nicely. As the day was getting longer, mercifully the wind was hanging out with us and making sure that vision wasn't going to be a problem for the rest of the day. If you caught a rider, you'd be able to see that rider and make a clean, tight pass. Francois Bennett was getting closed down by Renier van der Berg, and a Raptor 700 getting chased down by a YZ. Jan Human, former junior national champion when he used to race on the Honda 150s on the 79 machine, riding out of the massive LCP roofing squad, trying to see what he can do. Aidan Frith, his season goes from bad to worse. Another early retirement for our top junior quad. Commiserations, Aids. Renier van der Berg just checking the pole still there. Yeah, it's still good. Thanks, buddy. You carry on. Megan Stander now inside of the top 5 in the quad overalls and dominating the ladies quad category. The Stander family really turning up the wick here at the Corsica 200 out at Delareval. Janis Dreyer in the junior bikes getting all kinds of crossed up there. Also another rider checking out where the poles are. Plenty of danger markings to make sure that they know where they're going. He just had a bit of a twitchy front end heading into the turn. Trying to break away from Victor de Toy. Victor carrying a little bit more horsepower on his Yami, trying to close down on our top juniors. Stander, Ruan that time, heads on out for yet another lap. They were absolutely flying and conditions were pinpoint at the Corsica 200 as our next round of the Africa Off-Road. Oh, stylish riding. Everyone just starting to really enjoy themselves. You know, a little bit of wind, a little bit of water, and it does cool things down. The hot temperatures. And that wind was not cold as well. It was a warm breeze, a berg breeze, as we say. But next to the water, brought the temperatures down, helped the riders and helped the bikes as well. Both needing to breathe a little bit of cool. Chandru de Vet not shutting off for a second there. Monis Croft getting a little bit tired there. Still enough time to take the handoff for a high five, but remember where that bump is, buddy. Fanny Bodenhoff, the man has been running 2-spot the whole way through the quad race. Everything she's got. Yanni Meyer consolidating his 3rd place on the KTM in the senior quads. Francois Bennett running number 4, sweating it as he was starting to get closed down by Megan Stander. Renier van der Berg taking a little moment to take the handoff, maybe starting to feel that arm pump. You can see from the left-hand side of the bike, he has had a small crash, so just taking a moment to take a breath. Around the side of the pan, watching a stage of the Dakar. Monis Croft gets his high five in his finish. Francois Bennett comes in and draws a line under his event for the quads. Jan Human, untouchable though. Karam pushed him hard, but Jan Human walking away with the cheese, the flag, and his finisher's medal on the LCP Roofing KTM. Victor de Toy did a good job as well there, climbing the ladder and looking for trophies and points on the season. Hendrik Rutt, what a standout ride. In category, finishing behind Jan Human as well. Did look like he was a fast rider. Peter Karam, the best he could do though, 3rd place, could not catch up to the riders out front of Human and Rutt. JJ Brits came in with a nice ride as well, but his stunt skills, yeah, that's something to work on in the off-season. Hanro Otto, nice ride for him. He'll end up finishing a 4th place finish in the 247 Neon machine. And Ruan Stander, no big surprise. A classy rider, a classy ride, and a win in the quads. Gav Sturley brings it home as well. Keeps those elbows high all day long. He's going to need some physio after that for sure. Jean-Ru de Vet, factoried up to the max. Brings it home. Ryan Dungey style. Bart Visa almost goes over the bars as well. Theo, nice job there, buddy. Fonny Bartenhorst pushed as hard as he could not close up to Stander, but consistent lap times put him up there into a 2 spot come the end. Stander did an incredible ride. Megan Stander, that is. Beat a ton of boys on the way as well. Here's confirmation of the results as we go into it. In the OR1s, Hendrik Rutt taking the win. OR2s, Jan Human ahead of Hanro Otto. Working our way through the rest of the categories, this time picking up on the OR3s, the 200cc's. Peter Karam taking the win there ahead of Sturley. And in the senior bikes, Bardvisa takes it again. In the Q1s, Ron Stander beating out Fonny Bartenhorst, and Megan Stander first of the ladies, third overall. Yanni Meyer unfortunately DNF'd. Hot. It was hot racing the whole way through. And join us after the break when we pick up on the side-by-sides, the buggies and the production vehicles.
When ingenuity and know-how come together with auto enthusiasm and expertise in a student project, one of the most extraordinary and exclusive small series in the world is created, the Roading Roadster. The secret of the Roading. It's made largely of carbon. An extremely light vehicle, its success still depends on whether it can convince potential buyers.
Are you an SME owner trying to take your business to the next level? Or do you need tools to help start your own business? Catch the Big Small Business Show every week as our expert panelists offer realistic and insightful advice on how to make your business a success.
You must now start to regard yourself as a specialist.
It's a structured program that you're doing with them, or is it more casual? What's holding you back?
That's the Big Small Business Show every week, exclusive to Business Day TV.
On some lowrider bikes.
We're probably going to get hurt.
Then we head out to LA to build with the master of movie cars.
Now I've built over 1,000 cars.
Come on, is it worth it? But first, Missy Elliott hits us up for her own Team Bartwell Classic.
Y'all make sure Flex give me my purple car, and he ain't just talking stuff right now.
So buckle up, I'm taking you for a ride.
Now we're back with Africa Off-Road Racing, the Corsica 200 out at Delareyville, brought to you by N1 4x4, Cruiser and Toyota, your four-wheel drive experts. Before the cars, buggies and side-by-sides went on out there, Flip told the drivers what they were going to be in for, what to watch out for, and how much fun they were going to be having. All ears attentively paying attention, and we went down in the pits to catch up with some drivers.
So, I'm Grant Watkins, and my navigator Paul Murray. I'm from Port Elizabeth. We come up all the way from Port Elizabeth with a car. Competition number B5, and yeah, we're looking forward to this race. We had a good run at the event before the last one, and yeah, we're hoping for another good result today. The car's well prepared, done a lot of work, and yeah, we just want to really just thank the organisers for. I'm sure it'll be another great race. They always put on a good show for us.
Yeah, I think I just want to thank Grant for preparing the car so well every race and for driving all the way up from PE. I think he has a lot of commitment towards off-road, and it shows by driving that far and bringing some wind as well for the day. And I think it's going to be a great day.
Hi, my name is Sandra Labiskachny, and this is my husband,
Jaco Jonk.
And today we're looking forward to having fun in this great car. It's actually my dad's car. It's a Porter in Class A. It's sponsored by 4x4 Mega World, and unfortunately my dad went for a knee operation, so that's why the two of us can go out and enjoy ourselves today. So we just want to say thank you to my dad for giving us this opportunity, and also thanks to Pete, who's the best mechanic that we could ever ask for.
I'm Ger Stein, and it's my wife Madeleine Stein. She's my navigator. We like to do off-road. It's very nice. Okay, thanks for all the sponsors, and for Flip's events, it's very nice.
Those are just a few of the cars and characters we'll be watching out for in the event. Before they got to get behind the wheel, though, a little bit of impromptu police work. Manuel Feldman doing some mandatory breathalyzer testing, making sure that no one's been on the sauce before they get behind the wheel. You can have 12 coffees, but don't have a beer. That's just for the spectators and us hanging out watching the show. With everyone passed with green lights the whole way through, wasn't going to be the same way after prize giving, believe you me. Robbie and Maureen Leishman opened up our racing account. Like we've been talking on the show, and as many people have been talking behind the scenes as well, the side-by-sides, a huge threat going forward into next year's championship. Matthew Jacobs and Nazia Tate, just love watching this bucky going on out there. A full race spec screaming V8 coming out of the Land Rover camp. There is another one of these racing in the Hellcat format that we get to see a little bit running around in the rallies and the off-roads as you travel further north in Africa. Donnie Else doing a little bit of buggy racing himself, and the single-seater championship was still up for grabs. Julio and Ethan Ferreira having mechanical problems at the previous race, sounding like they were finding a very early fourth gear there as well, so hopefully that wasn't signs of problems to come later on. Nico Durant and JG Claassen going out there in the... Geez, those things are just so good to look at and listen to. Can-Am Mavericks. Kiel Jacobs, he runs in many championships, Northern Region Championship off-road racing as well as Africa off-roads. And the B28 would be looking for another podium and possibly a win in the B category championship. Another of the side-by-sides, Vernon Mostert and Hanno Deploy, showing how quickly the pickup is on the power delivery as they fire off the gate. Wayne Smith and Christian de Bruyn looking for a nice win in the production vehicle category. Extremely well turned out class vehicle. Another one of the D category production vehicles. Throughout the day you'd see 3 different drivers and 3 different navies in the form of Jacques, Kerry and Francois behind the wheel, and Dewald, Jacobus, Dylan and Lloyd taking their turn in the seat. So just showing that you can play the team game as well. Kerry and Francois first on board in the D33. Very, very well turned out factory spec Toyota Racing D-Class vehicle. This is what it looked like inside, this is what it looks like outside as well. So slightly different terrain that we're talking about here at the Corsica 200 in the Della Rayville area. Much more grassland and brush and scrub for the drivers to deal with, and slightly less dust. The dust does come later on in the lap. Wally and Dominic Morick, father and daughter combination in the P69. And this P category is starting to get extremely busy. They'll be chasing down on Julio Ferreira, Wally Morick, LC Diaka to see what they can do. Jaco Visa and Mani Roo in the D15. They had a nice drive last time out, and they'd be eyeing up a top 3 once again. Lawrence Haasbroek and Johan Janssen van Rensburg in a Class E. That's one of our smaller capacity vehicles. They'd be going up against Frikkie Steyn and Flecky du Toit. Sefi van Skalfake and Arthur Croshaw in the Baja Bug. Love this car, and this is what it looks like and sounds like inside. Busy work in the B100. And long may it stay rolling. I know there's a couple of these kicking around garages out there in South Africa. In fact, Evan Hutchison and Donnie Stassen were considering putting a bug body on one of their championship winning cars. We'll see if they get to do that this off-season. Grant Watkins and Paul Murray seeing what they can do, and LC Diaka and Nico Killian. These guys were a standout from the previous round, and obviously carrying a lot of momentum. And see what they can do in the CRT. Gert and Madeleine Steyn slowly but surely off the line in the Z1. Actually runs in F1s, but just marked with a Z1 on the car. Aki and Jadre Kruger as well. They'll be going out there to see what they can do as they chase down the E Championship. I think they've got a good chance as well. But a lot of E category cars making it busy here at the Corsica 200. Frikkie Steyn and Flecky du Toit odds on to walk away with a podium and some championship cheese in the Hulk truck, the E12. A little bit of a slidey start there as they got themselves into the zone. Marius and Yolinda Fourie not only looking for a win here, but also eyes on the prize for a South African national championship as well. Sandra Labiskakny and Jaco Jonk. Like we said, Sandra normally on the books, and Jaco normally in the pits as well, biting his fingernails this time around. Sandra on the wheel, Jaco on the books, navigating in the 4x4 Mega World Porter. Reinhard Amarit van Staden. Camo style, snow camo, going out there into the dust. Peter Walter, a former championship quad racer, puts a roof over his head this time around though. Hendrik Reineck, Junior and Senior, going out there in the E40 to see what they can do. Top 10 in the category will definitely be on the cards. They love this kind of terrain. In the early laps, you can see around the edge of the fields just before the farmers get the plows out. That's why it's so green out there. Very dusty and powdery with not too much watering happening at this time of year. Piet Coetzee and Peter Murray. Also a very well spec'd and prepped vehicle. Former national championship car stepping on over into Africa Off-Roads. Not too far removed from a Class S national championship race spec vehicle. Flip Veldman and Jacques getting the wheels spinning in the Banana Colt. Always fun to see these guys going out there. They hold nothing back. If there's a roost corner and they can hang the back out, they'll get the job done. Always so exciting. He's got a rally style of off-road racing where he goes and does the finish flick, as they say, where you back it in left to turn right. Alec Abbott, another one of our single-seater warriors. Although his car looks wide enough to possibly take two, even if he had to ride tandem style, one in front of the other. Shafi and Shaquille Jacobs. And after that, Hendriette Fincham and Jo-Louise Kutzer. Out front though, Robbie and Marine Leishman. Almost said Robbie Gordon there for a second because he does look like a trophy racing maniac. Look at that. So much suspension and body roll, but they keep the power down. And with a power to weight ratio second to none, that's why these things are so fast. They only lay down, I think they've got like 1,000 horsepowers, so 1 litre to you and me, but they still fly. Coming into the break then, and it's the side-by-sides that are controlling the cheese out the front. We'll have to see after the break if the production vehicles can catch them up. Stay with us for more Africa Off-Road Racing.
In the middle of the biggest crisis in the company's history, the engineers at Rüsselsheim have rolled up their sleeves and built the most powerful Opel of all time. Its name, Insignia OPC. Fresh from the Performance Centre and armed with 325 horsepower.
Given the right opportunity, even the smallest of dreams can become a reality. For a humble electronics store on the streets of Kampala, the right partnership saw 3 young entrepreneurs grow into the biggest multi-choice dealers in Uganda.
We began with 3 members in staff, and with the support of MultiChoice in terms of training and advertising material, we've become one of the best agents in Uganda.
And as the team grew, the dream grew, opening new branches across Uganda and in turn providing jobs and empowering the community.
We've been managed to give jobs to so many people in our community.
They can afford to send their children to school, construct houses for themselves.
I've got good things from my boss, from Speedo, and I'm able to give others jobs to earn salary.
Coming from a small agent to a mega dealer, it has been so tremendous. We are really proud about being under MultiChoice as a dealer. It has really changed our life.
MultiChoice, enriching lives.
This week, we look ahead to the final race of the season in Abu Dhabi. Young F1 engineers are put to the test by Renault Sport. GT sports cars with the Blancpain GT Asia Series at Zhejiang. And VLN from the Nürburgring, all in auto speed.
Back out to Delareyville for the Corsica 200. Our next round of the Africa Off-Road Championship Racing Series. Picking up on Piet Coetzee and Peter Murray as they headed out into the field, chasing down into the Class S category for production vehicles. They would have plenty of cars to chase down on to see what they could do. Hendrik Reneke, Junior and Senior in the E40. The hotly contested E category for production vehicles. Flip Veldman and Jacques in the D7 once again. Backing it in left to turn right, putting it up on two wheels, and never for 1 second thinking about lifting. Jacques, Kerry and Francois, flip a coin. We never know who's in that car. There's so many drivers and co-drivers. We know who's here though, Jaco Viersa and Manny Roux. Elsie Diache and Nico Killian, who came out of absolutely nowhere in the championship series to climb their way up into a top 2 last time around. The CRT would be one to watch. Siafi and Croshaw getting the job done. Werner Mostert and Henry Duploy dropping the hammer hard. And you can see in the second half of the lap when they went around skirting the edges of the farmlands, this is where the dust was really kicking. For now, the wind was playing the game. Frikkie Steyn and Flicky de Toy, the E12 Hulk, chasing down and trying to just roost the rest of the competition. Sandra Laviskakny and Jaco Young. Sandra on the wheel doing a classy job in the 4x4 Mega World Porter. A little bit tight in the trees for the special vehicles, you've got to say. The production vehicles held the advantage there, but in the wide open spaces and the rough terrain, the special vehicles were doing a great job. Marius and Yolinda Farie trying to climb the ladder on the specials. On board, just showing how busy it can be. Grab handles, roll cage, whatever you have to do. But if the car rolls over, make sure you move your fingers out the way. Many a driver has lost a thumb or pinky with a rollover with your hand grabbing onto the cage. Pete Kotze and Peter Moret starting to really climb their way up the field as well and challenge for top honours in the production vehicles. Marshals, as part of the championship race series, often go unthanked, so we're going to go up there and give them a big high five because there's a lot of road crossings at the Corsica 200 as part of the Della Rayville event, and without the marshals, even though we're racing on the weekends, farmers, as we know, are super busy at the moment. So making sure that there's no moving traffic interfering with our racing or racing interfering with our farmers. Hendrik Fincham and Jolise Kutzer working hard in one of the older vehicles as one of the younger vehicles, the Century Racing CRT of Diache and Killian. Unfortunately in the tech, that's where the CRT really battles. It's got a automatic gearbox, meaning you can't always find the revs and the drive where you want it. But once it gets out into the open, it can really stretch its legs. Sandra Labiskakny and Jaco Young, the 4x4 Mega World Porter, V8 power, no shortage of ponies there. The rest of the categories, some of the smaller capacity vehicles, but a very, very good chassis and suspension setup on the S vehicles. Peter Walter and Sean de Villiers coming in a little bit hot there. Peter was always so strong on the brakes when he was racing in National Championship quad racing. And now he's onto the Can-Ams with a little bit of roof, a little bit more insurance policy, feeling quite brave. Marius and Yolinda Farie in the PHB Bat. Looks like they lost a little bit of bodywork off the back there and maybe just trying out a new aero package. Nico Durant and JG Claassen doing the big chase down, and they're so fast out of the corners. Kerry and Francois doing the chase down. A new horn for Christmas perhaps. That wasn't loud. I barely heard that here, and we were on board with them. But thankfully the Land Rover did hear them, moved out the way, and got them out there racing. So the second half of the race, very much farmlands. Like we say, pillar to post racing, go to the corner, chase down to the end. So this is where you've got to really have faith in your equipment, try and get out the turns as quick as possible. A little bag and tag from the marshals to make sure you've ticked off your laps, and most of these cars will be going out there for a 3-lapper event. Grant Watkins and Paul Murray. Incredibly, Watkins making the trip from PE most of the year to come race with us at the Africa Off-Road Championship Series. Around the edge of the track like we use for our junior and seniors as well as the quads. Fun to see the cars able to just enjoy their time there. A little bit of a warning call there, and that was one of the other cars coming up hot and fast, making sure that the car in front knew they were coming. Always a nice place to pass if you can get a move while the other cars are at the marshal point. Henrik Reneke, junior and senior, nice little hoot to the cameraman, and we'll always give you guys a wave. Check that out. Hand outside, big high fives. Living on their horn, just loving life. That's when you know a team are having a fun race. Julio and Ethan Ferreira hopefully having a much better drive in the P55 this time around, after mechanical problems at the last round held them off the podium. Henriette and Jolie's Corsica. That car is hanging together by a wing and a prayer. Frikkie Steyn and Flecky de Toy, they're going to be closing on up there. You can see through the forest section, losing their front left light, kissing a tree on the way through. Thankfully we don't go night racing here. And Flip Velman and Jacques, not just putting on a show for the crowd, but unfortunately overheating the engine. So just trying to cool the thing down a little bit. Eventually they would only score the one lap, choosing to save the Colt for another day. Splish splash, I was taking a bath, as a CRT comes charging on through. Flip just having a jaw out there. Always better to save the car for another day's racing. Sandra Labiskakny and Jaco Jonk, as much as they would probably want to go and have a splash, it was all-out racing action as they were chasing down a top finish in the special vehicle category. They had some tough competition though. Morris and Yolanda Fari. 2017 has really been the year of them coming on strong, and even though they are sporting a new aero package here at the Delaray event, the Corsica 200, the PHB bat and the farmers are doing a cracking job. Every time they're behind the wheel, they get faster and faster. Henrik Reinecke, Junior and Senior, as always, big wave to everybody as they jaw their way around the circuit. Father and son racing, there's nothing better in this world. There's Flip retiring the car, giving it a chance to have a cool off and having a beer. No need for a breathalyzer now, he's job done. Nico Durant and JG Clausen trying to see what they can do as they come into the finish line zone and see if they've done enough to walk away with podiums. All of our cars now coming to the end of their race, the Corsica 200 out at Delarayville. We had so much positive feedback from all of the crews, saying they had the best time. It could have been so different without that wind as well. So thankfully, this time around, you can even hear it in the camera, the wind helping out vision, helping keep the dust away, and helping keep the race safe and clean. The S category vehicles starting to make their way home now, as all drivers get the job done and start eyeing up the last couple of events of the 2017 season. 12 events all in all on the calendar, keep things nice and busy, and it won't be long before we start thinking about 2018. Robbie and Marine Leishman, they have found incredible form also in their vehicle and in their pairing. Very few mechanicals on the year, an impeccable setup on the side-by-side, and the giant killers are starting to become the team to beat. Umsifi and Croshaw. The Bug. One more time around the beach. And this is where the Baja Bugs were really developed, racing in the Baja 1000 along the beaches of the US of A. Not too different here at Delaray, but well, very different. But you know what I mean. It's still a beach, it's still dust, it's still sand, and it's still off-road racing. The flag comes out, and the Baja Bug survives another day. Muster Jacobs and Nazir Tate, the one and only Land Rover racing at this event. Like I say, there are a couple of national spec vehicles kicking around the country and across the borders. Peter Walter and Sean de Villiers having a great day at the office, and as they start finding their pairing and how to speak to each other and communicate, they'll see their times and results improve. Lawrence Harsbrook and Johan Janssen van Rensburg bringing it home as well. Not too many mechanical failures this time around as well. Grant Watkins, he'll have enjoyed his trip up, flying all the way from Port Elizabeth to join Marais, although he did make the drive. Doesn't get to fly, it's not too rock and roll. Puts in some big mileage to come race with us, and we really appreciate the effort. So nice to see him have a nice day at the office. Wally and Dominic Morrick, our father and daughter combination, in their very special, could almost be categorized as a side-by-side, but it still fits into the special vehicle Class Ps. Kurt and Madeleine Steyn bring it home once again in the Z1, actually running in the F1 category though. And Julio and Ethan Ferreira in the P55 did a good job this time around. They bag a top 3 finish. That'll make up for their disappointment at the previous round. Frikkie Steyn and Flecky de Toy in the E12. Looks like they were going to walk away with an E category victory. They were the favourites heading into this event. And with our marshals making their way home, we draw a line under the event. And commiserations for our lady pairing coming home there of Henriette Fincham and Jolise Kutzer. But they made it home nonetheless. Category breakdown goes like this. Class B's, Sifi takes the win. And Grant Watkins gets the second place. Great job for them. Jacobs first to the single-seaters and third. Class P, Wally and Dominic Morick ahead of Julio and Ethan Ferreira. Nice drive for them with Diaka and Killian. Unfortunately not finishing this time around. The Class C of Donnie Else not finishing as well. In the Class Ds, the D33 vehicle with multiple drivers and navies took the big win with only 3 cars completing the event. In production Class E and F, E was Lawrence Haasbroek and Johan Janssen van Rensburg, and in the Class F, Gert and Madeline Stein. Moving forward then into the big bangers, production Class G, Nico Durant and JG Klaassen, they took the win in the side-by-sides ahead of Mostert and Deploy. In the national category, no big surprise, Marius and Yolinda Farie. A strong win, but look how close Sandra Labuskakny and Jaco Jank were on their first time behind the wheel together. And that's all of our categories done and dusted with the Corsica 200 at Delareyville. And gotta be one of the favourites on the calendar looking forward into 2018. For now, we've got 2 rounds remaining on the tour, and we'll keep bringing you all the action.